Chris, a lot of folks watching are at different levels, right? Some people don't
Yeah,
even know what IUL means, right? So let's take a step back, maybe, and let's what is that? What is
break
IUL?
it.
Like, what's like why is it even an issue or a problem?
Yeah, so I think it's this is that life insurance, cash value life insurance, has traditionally been known as whole life insurance, right? Like that is like a lot of these mutually held life insurance companies have been around for literally 180-ish years, 100 to 180 years, and there's a lot of companies that kind of fall into that spectrum. There's been a lot of success with companies that sell whole life insurance, helping solve certain financial problems. Like I always kind of tell people, life insurance is not an asset, is never an asset, should never be viewed as an asset. And if somebody's selling you life insurance as an investment, I should say, then it's not an investment. It's and if it's being sold to you as an investment, it's being misrepresented. Now, what life insurance is a great savings alternative. It's a great place to keep safe, liquid, accessible. It's great for kind of the emergency funds, opportunity funds, reserve accounts for operation expense accounts for businesses, for people that have like trading funds, and like there's a million use cases for it. But the purpose of to me a properly designed life insurance contract is to take place of a savings account in your life. So what happens is I talk to most people and they say, yeah, like do you believe you need an emergency fund? Most people say yes. Do you believe you need like an operating fund if you have a business, like you want to have more control of that? Most people say yes. And then when you ask them what they're doing, most people don't have it, so we can help them figure out how to set it up.
Right.
B, if they do have it, the next question is, all right, where are you keeping it? And typically it's in a savings account where they're losing money to inflation over a long period of time. And so all this is when you put your money in a properly designed whole life policy, you're shifting the risk from the bank to the insurance carrier, which is much more secure, by the way, like from a long-term perspective. And you're basically giving yourself protection against inflation. The life insurance company is going to preserve the purchasing power of your money over a long period of time. Now, to answer your question, I had to give that kind of background to make it make sense. What's happened is, since 2009, there's been a product called IUL, Indexed Universal Life, which is basically a universal life insurance platform that is being kind of positioned and marketed with as having all the benefits of whole life, but having more upside potential. And so the challenge is there's a lot of TikTok influencers, Instagram influencers, YouTube people that are misleading, misrepresenting what this product really is. And they're selling it as a very simplistic financial tool when in fact it's a really complicated, complex product. And most agents don't even understand what they're selling. And so my background, and I understand how it happens. My background, like I said at the beginning, is I used to be director of business development for the top IUL company in the country. And I was guilty of this, right? Like I drank the Kool-Aid. I, ate the bait, hook, line, sinker, and sold a lot of premium over the first 4 years of my career. Went through the ranks, started training people, and my job was to teach people how to build their businesses selling this stuff. Like that's when you look at that, so I get how it works. I get how people kind of fall prey to the appeal of the story of Index Universal Life as this kind of like upside potential, downside protection product. The challenge is that it never fulfills the promises that kind of are promised to people in the way that they're sold. And when I look at money, and when I look at people's relationships with money, and when I look at most people that we talk to and their goals and objectives when it comes to their life, at the end of the day, you got to make sure that your expectations are in alignment with reality, and the products and the tools that you're using to accomplish a goal for yourself is in alignment with reality, and that the expectations are reasonable, right? Like, so like if I'm putting money into it, it's not that it's a horrible product, but like if you're expecting a certain result for you by putting money into any product, and the reality is, even though you think it's going to get you 100% of your goal, it's going to get you 30% of your goal. Well, if that's the case, that can cause a lot of problems in your life, right? And so I kind of, getting into the business, when I first joined the business is, I guess, a part of my story I left out. I joined in '09. And so if anybody remembers '09, after 2008, and the market was just kind of chaotic, and I went to join my father-in-law, who was a broker with Wells Fargo Advisors. And I remember talking to the manager, and, I just came off of a stint playing poker for a living for 7 years, right? And so he basically was like, Chris, listen, I think you'll kill it. I think you'll be amazing in this business. But if I hire you, they're going to fire me. You have no industry experience. You got the relationships and the personality, and you understand the business and all these different things that I think you'll do really well. But you got to go prove yourself for me first. And so I was like, what do I do? He's like, well, go get a job at an insurance company. They'll hire anybody. And I was like, all right, I'll go do that. And so the crazy part is, once I got into that space, I started like learning things that I didn't know, right? I didn't know what I didn't know. So getting into the life insurance space, the one part about my experience at my first company that I was just like so grateful for is learning about the market risks, and learning about volatility, and learning about just all the fees and all the just things that like most people are not educated about. And so all at the same time, I was going home, and, I have a really close relationship with my father-in-law, and I watched him just battle and struggle emotionally, because he's a really good guy, and he means really well for people. He meant really well, wanted nothing but the best, and was doing the best he could with the information and the tools he was provided with being a financial advisor, right? And yet he was coming home, and I literally, there were times like I thought like suicide wasn't off the table. Like, and I'm not saying that lightly. Like, he was managing a big book of business. We're talking, 9 figures, a good 9-figure book of business. And when you lose 30 to 40% of that kind of book of business, and people's livelihoods are your responsibility, the level of stress with that
Sure.
is astonishing. And so for me, that experience, it was just like this weird environment for me. And it really formed my belief set on what our role is in people's lives when it comes to helping coach them. And one of the rules that I made for myself is that I'm going to set up a set of rules for my practice, and only make suggestions in a way that I'm never going to have to say I'm sorry to anybody. And that's what really got me excited about Index Universal Life, is that this upside potential, downside protection story. But then I'm telling you, 3-4 years into it, I started to realize like, whoa, this isn't what I thought it was. And in fact, I am going to have to say I'm sorry to a lot of people. And by the way, I had to say I'm sorry, because when I left, I had a lot of people, a lot of business acquaintances, a lot of family, a lot of relationships of people that I sold policies to, that I had to kind of eat crow and go to and be like, yo, I know I sold you this, but I'm sorry. This is kind of why. This is what I believe. This is why I did it. And this is what I've learned since. I apologize. I gotta kind of take my lumps, and you don't have to make a change, but based on what I know now, this is what I think you should do. Not everybody did it, but I had to go with full integrity and have those conversations. That was probably the hardest time of my career.
Wow. Yeah, I can imagine that must have been tough.